Good morning, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. This day is really about a celebration of women, and I don't think we need a more stark reminder of the strength of women as we see heartbreakingly women walking their children to the borders of Ukraine to safety. Women are massively underestimated, in my view, and very strong. And I want to share with you my journey in the hope that it just might spark something in you, or it might spark an idea, or it might just encourage you to step forward for that opportunity that comes your way. As Frontier Energy Network is very active in the energy industry, I would like to highlight, I suppose, the leadership that we are starting to see from the energy industry in Ukraine. Although we would like to see more measures, very happy today to see Shell announcing the closure of all of its petrol stations and supply of aviation fuel in Russia. These are extraordinary times, and they're calling for extraordinary leadership. And I think all of us will be watching President Zelensky today in the House of Commons. So I wanted to just note and mark that extraordinary events that are going on around us. What a great honor to be invited to this forum. And I want to share with you how I tackle the challenges of work, life, and everything in between. I'd like to thank the Barclays Eagle Labs and this vibrant community of the C4DI that's brought us together today. As Frontier Energy Network, we've been getting a lot from just being in the office and connecting here with like-minded people. It's a well-known fact that early years affect how we see the world. And I was extremely lucky to grow up surrounded by a huge extended family and vibrant community on a very interesting corner of Africa, on a farm on the border of Mozambique and Zimbabwe. It was an incredible place to grow up and learn, and I believe that my fearlessness comes from being free to explore with very few boundaries. I started Frontier after a patchwork career in some fantastic companies. I was lucky enough to get noticed out of university by Unilever, who came recruiting. Important to note, however, I was by no means the smartest kid in the class, but I managed to bring my authentic self to the interview, and I got lucky. I think so much of life is about being in the right place at the right time. But it is also about putting yourself decisively and confidently forward for those opportunities, even if you're not sure how you're going to do the job. That's what I just want to say to everyone today. If you see an opportunity, take it with both hands and your whole heart, because it might just be a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I think as women, we say to ourselves, but how will I manage? I've got so much else going on in my life. I've got my children to think about. Will I be up to the job? Well, that's tomorrow's problem. And like someone said to me, it's a very good problem to have. Men are very good at this, putting themselves forward. And in my experience, women not so much. Subsequently, I've worked in some amazing companies, both in Africa, the UK, and Europe. But being in a corporate environment never sat well with me. I always knew I wanted to create something of my own and be the master of my own destiny. So I started Frontier in 2009, and the business has remained with me, and I've remained with the business through my 2 children, many house moves, and thankfully just one husband, who is now my business partner. And he's in the room with all of the ladies here in North Allerton. There have been days, I must admit, when I felt that there was no point in continuing, when I've thought I'd be more use at home, looking after the children, while my husband went out to provide for the family. But I am so glad I did not throw in the towel, and that I am still standing and now watching Frontier experience exponential growth. If I could just explain very quickly what Frontier does. So we exist to open doors in the energy industry. Our vision, so what gets us out of bed in the morning, is we want to inspire the energy industry to connect, collaborate, and develop towards a cleaner planet for our children. We do this by creating meeting places and fora and platforms for very senior people in the energy industry to come together and to help each other on solutions. It's a very interesting place to be, the energy sector. It's not very well represented from a gender diversity point of view. Although some progress is being made, I think that we can celebrate these advances, but still only 1 in 3 leadership roles and about 25% of all executive committee roles are held by women. And we all know there are very few women in the CEO role. There are even fewer women of color in these positions. How can this be? This is 2022. How can we challenge this and change this? Well, to circle back on the topic for today, I think tackling bias is a really great place to start. And it's something we can all do in our daily lives. I think we all know, and some of us may be more aware than others, that we all hold beliefs about people based on their race or ethnicity or their gender, body weight, or other traits. So biases are beliefs that are not founded on any facts. For example, a really common bias is that women are weak. Well, that's not really my experience. Many women are very, very strong. When people are unaware of bias, this is when it becomes very dangerous. I want to highlight a few biases that I've come across in my role as Frontier, and I just want to share with you perhaps how I've dealt with those. So the first bias, which I really feel it doesn't serve us very well, is that women are emotional, and that is somehow a bad thing. Well, in my view, empathy is strength. And we should absolutely tap into this in our work and our daily decisions. Being empathetic makes me very good at my job. And it also makes me sensitive to the needs of the people that work with Frontier and come into contact with Frontier. This is a great asset, and we should use it and not be ashamed of it. The second bias I'd like to highlight is the maternal wall and flexibility stigma that tends to go hand in hand with the maternity wall. So the maternal wall is when colleagues view mothers of children or pregnant women as less competent and committed. So new mothers are overlooked and set aside when it comes to promotion. Did you know that women get a 4% pay cut per child? And a man gets a 6% pay rise? That's a fact. In addition to this, there's a flexibility stigma. When colleagues or bosses look negatively for some reason on people that want to work flexibly, it's like a suspicion that they're not doing their jobs properly. Well, I want flexibility in my life. I want to be a good parent that is present to my children. I want to be a good dog mummy, a good sister, a good daughter. And I want to be a happy and healthy person. So I need to take time off to go for a run and exercise. So why can't my colleagues at Frontier enjoy these benefits too? I believe that happier people are more hardworking. And at Frontier, I try really hard to be open-minded to people's needs and desires for flexibility. I want that for myself too. I'm really happy to take some questions, but before I do, I want to leave you with 3 useful books that have shaped my thinking, which have helped me along the way. We'll put this on our website later, and I'm happy to share the link. But the first book that I've really enjoyed and it's helped me, to hone some of my skills are The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was written by Stephen Covey in the 80s, and the main objective of this book is to make people aware of what habits you need to follow to be successful. It's massively practical, and I really encourage you to read it. It's sold 25 million copies since it was published. The second book links back to the strength of women, and it's called The Compassionate Mind by Russell Colts. It's based on compassion-focused therapy, and I really believe that if you look at the world with compassionate eyes, that you can unlock a whole string of benefits and also unlock your own success. The third book I want to highlight is a book called Outliers, The Story of Success by Malcolm Gladwell. Why do some people seem to achieve so much more than others? Can they really lie so far out of the ordinary? This is a really provocative and inspiring book, and he highlights the common traits of successful people. I believe that anyone can be successful. I think that the only thing that holds us back, that we can control, is ourselves and our own environment. Yes, there's lots that needs to be done in the world of business, but let's take control of our lives and make a difference to ourselves. So that marks the end of my short talk, and I'm happy to sort of take any questions that anyone has to throw at me.
Business, and it looks like it is successfully growing by that amazing story you've just told. What does success look like for you in the future, and how does gender equality play into that?
So thank you so much for that question. Actually, funnily enough, this is something I think about almost daily. You know, what does success look like for me? And what does success look like for the business? And what does success look like for the people that work for us and our wider network? I just want to note that it's really important that you envisage yourself to be successful. And actually envisaging success is really critical. So I think the point I've made there is success is something that has to work for all of us. It has to work for me. It has to work for our team, for our members, and the wider energy industry. Of course, diversity is massively important to me. I don't like being surrounded by people that look like me and think like me. I think that's really evident in the people that we employ. We're a very diverse organization, and I see that as a massive strength. Positive legacy is really critical, and that's what motivates me. So if after all is said and done, if we have contributed to a cleaner planet for our children, that is ultimately what success looks like for me. So when I'm old and I can look back with my children, I can say, I did something positive. I didn't just run a successful business. I did something positive for the planet. So that's what success looks like for me.
Thanks very much. That was a really good presentation. I've read 2 of those 3 books. I must read the middle one. Just wondering what your next challenge is. I'd hate to guess what your age is, but I'm sure you've got a lot more years ahead in your career. What's next?
So the business is going through a very interesting phase where, you know, when you start a business, it's an extension of yourself and your own personality. And now what's happening, and it makes me happy to see this happening, is the business is taking on its own personality, and that's being driven by the people that we employ and the people that work with us. So the next phase really for us is me sort of stepping back, as it were, but still obviously being involved in the day-to-day. But I suppose being able to let go of the control elements that I have and enabling the business to flourish and grow. So, you know, for example, we hosted an event in London in February called the Innovation and Investment and Energy Summit, where we profiled the most exciting innovations coming out of the energy industry to tackle climate change. and I couldn't attend that event. I found that quite hard from a control perspective, but the team went and they delivered and received rave reviews. So, you know, that for me marked, right, I don't need to be involved in absolutely everything here. And I trust the people that work with us to go and do a great job. And just to point back to your comment about age, so I'm 43, I've had 2 children. And I think when you have children, you just feel so bogged down in the day-to-day. But Arabella and Magnus are growing up a little bit now. Magnus is 7 and Arabella's 9. And I feel like I've been clinging on to this business, and now I feel like I'm able to breathe and you know, enable myself to grow and take opportunities forward. So.